On April 11, 1970, Apollo 13 launched to the moon, but just days later, it became one of the most dramatic and life-threatening space missions in history. What was supposed to be a routine trip turned into a race against time to save 3 astronauts stranded far from Earth. Here's the unbelievable story of Apollo 13's mission, the challenges faced, and the astonishing rescue that stunned the world.
3, 2, 1, 0, and liftoff. Space Shuttle Atlantis on a mission to build.
Today, we're diving into one of the most intense and heroic stories in space exploration, the Apollo 13 mission. Despite not landing on the moon, this mission became a testament to human ingenuity, teamwork, and survival. Let's explore how a routine space mission turned into a life-or-death struggle, and how the Apollo 13 crew made it back against all odds. Welcome to RisePeak, the channel where stories ignite your soul, facts blow your mind, and motivation fuels your every step. From untold tales of grit to fascinating truths that leave you inspired, we're here to empower your climb to greatness. Ready to rise? Let's go. Apollo 13 launch on April 11, 1970. Three astronauts, Commander Jim Lovell, Fred Hayes, and Jack Swigert, launched from Kennedy Space Center aboard the Apollo 13 spacecraft. This was NASA's third mission to send humans to the moon. Just months earlier, Neil Armstrong had made history by stepping on the moon, and now these astronauts were confident their mission would be just as successful. But little did they know, their dream of landing on the moon would be shattered long before they ever set foot on its surface. Disaster strikes. Around 330,000 kilometers from Earth, disaster struck. A loud bang echoed throughout the spacecraft, followed by flashing warning lights and alarms. One of the spacecraft's oxygen tanks had exploded, and the other was rapidly leaking. "Okay, Houston, we've had a problem here." "Houston, say again, please?" "Houston, we have a problem." Mission Control was stunned. Was it a malfunction? The astronauts, looking out the window, saw the air leaking out of the spacecraft. The situation quickly went from bad to worse as the spacecraft veered off course, moving further from Earth every second. In just a few hours, Apollo 13 had set a new record, the furthest humans had ever been from Earth. Survive over the moon. With no immediate way to fix the oxygen leak, the astronauts' primary concern shifted from landing on the moon to surviving and returning home. It wasn't just a crisis, it was a race against time to make it back to Earth alive. NASA faced a tough decision. They had to prove that space exploration was still worth investing in. After the success of Apollo 11, public interest in space had waned, and NASA's budget was slashed. Now, the Apollo 13 mission had become critical, not for scientific exploration of the moon, but for showing that human space travel could still succeed under dire circumstances. A complex system at risk. The Apollo 13 spacecraft had 4 main components: the command module, service module, lunar module, and launch escape system. After the oxygen tank explosion, the crew had to rely on the lunar module as a lifeboat, even though it wasn't designed for this purpose. It was a risky move, but it was their only hope. The first burn. Using the lunar module's engine for the first time, the crew executed a burn to change course. This was the first of many critical decisions that would push them further into space, but also bring them closer to safety. As they traveled around the moon, they set a new record for distance from Earth, reaching 400,000 kilometers, something no human had ever done before. This achievement, however, came with huge risks. They had just 1 hour of surplus oxygen, water, and food, and NASA knew they were on the edge of survival. The carbon dioxide crisis. Another major problem arose: rising carbon dioxide levels. The lunar module's CO2 scrubbers were only designed to support 2 astronauts for a short period. But now, 3 astronauts had to survive for days. In a moment of true innovation, Mission Control instructed the astronauts to use plastic bags, duct tape, and cardboard to build a new CO2 scrubber, an improvised device that saved their lives. Final approaches. As the crew finally approached Earth, they discovered they had to perform another burn to correct their path, or else they would miss their entry window. Despite the risks, the astronauts successfully completed the final burn and set their course for Earth. A race against time. The most nerve-wracking moment came when the command module entered Earth's atmosphere. With communication cut off due to ionization, the world held its breath. Would the astronauts survive? After more than 4 minutes of silence, communication was finally restored. The astronauts were safe. Apollo 13 may not have landed on the moon, but it went down in history as a heroic tale of survival, problem-solving, and teamwork. Despite the mission's failure, the bravery of the astronauts and the ingenuity of NASA's team on the ground showed the world what true resilience looks like. Today, Apollo 13 is remembered as one of the greatest stories in space exploration. Don't forget to check out our other videos on space exploration and history. Click here to watch more. Thank you for being a part of the RisePeak community. Together, we're climbing higher, discovering more, and turning dreams into achievements. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to keep the inspiration alive. Your journey is just beginning. Stay motivated, stay curious, and as always, keep rising.